Australian farmers are looking forward to a deal with China as a boon for their industries. Vegetable growers stand to gain, and they hope that the FTA with China will be along the lines of the trade deal brokered with Japan earlier this year. Claire McClelland is the Assistant Manager of Export Development at AUSVEG, and she joins us live now. Claire McClelland, how do you see this playing out? How will Australian producers actually benefit from a free trade agreement with China?
Well, the benefit of a free trade agreement is the reduction in tariffs, which will help make Australian vegetables more competitive in the international market.
So it means more exports of Australian vegetables?
That's right. It's a first step in a really important process in gaining access to the Chinese market, which we see in the future as being a very lucrative market for our Australian vegetable growers.
So the removal of tariffs makes it easier for Australian producers to get products onto the shelves of Japanese and Chinese supermarkets. Does the reverse apply as well?
Basically, in the negotiations for free trade agreements, they're not necessarily tit for tat, so it's not always broccoli for broccoli. So what you'll find is that we'll negotiate for vegetable access, but that's not necessarily reciprocal. So Australians won't expect to see a huge influx of imported product on our shelves.
So what do you expect? What sort of vegetables do you expect heading the other way from Australia to China?
We would expect a amount of processed vegetables heading our way, but again, these amounts won't be significant. The real gain is for Australian vegetable exporters who can look at getting their product on the shelf in China.
Okay, but Claire McClelland, isn't there a sort of a problem here that Australia, as far as I know, is still a net importer of fruit and vegetables?
We're working very hard to expand our vegetable exports. Currently, the domestic market is only growing at the rate of population. So what we're looking at doing is to increase our production to actually be able to export more. We are currently working very hard at doing this because we see that the diversification of the risk for vegetable growers as being a good thing, and export markets as being the future for the profitability of the vegetable industry.
But some people might find this a very curious arrangement where we don't grow enough vegetables to feed our own market, and yet we're exporting a lot of our vegetables, or hope to new markets like Japan and China.
Oh, we absolutely do grow enough vegetables to feed the domestic demand. The reality is that our farmers are hard done by and are looking to increase their profitability. So exporting is a really good way to actually increase the bottom line for our farmers.
When it comes to, Chinese product into Australia, there has been criticism in the past of Chinese product being improperly or sort of deviously labelled coming in via New Zealand. Is that still happening? And if so, will a free trade agreement get around that problem?
We work very hard to ensure that we have really good quality and high quality biosecurity practices that protect our industry. As far as an FTA goes, the trade agreement with China is going to ensure competitive tariffs for the vegetable industry, so it will help with our Australian exporters looking to send to China. As far as legislating how product comes in, it's purely a tariff structure, so it focuses on the import duties both domestically and also when we export.
Just quickly, if you may, you touched there on biosecurity. Has there been, or is there a concern about Chinese vegetables coming into Australia and what problems there may be with them?
I mean, the biosecurity practices that we have in Australia are top-notch, so the concerns are minimised by the high priorities that we put on that part of our industry. The reality is that Australia produces some of the highest quality, the freshest and the safest vegetables, and that's what we want to get into the Chinese market.
All right, Claire McClelland from AUSVEG, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.